In the not too distant future, next Sunday AD, there was a guy named Joel, not too different from you or me.
Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome to my review of episode 210 of MST3k, King Dinosaur. This review was graciously funded by Ryan's generous donations to St. Jude's back during my charity streams last year. And this was a great suggestion for a review. This is our first review for Season 2, and this is the season when the gang was first starting to really get into their groove in terms of writing both the riffs and the characters. And not only do we have a cheesy movie, but an often overlooked short as well. So let's dive right into my review of MST3k episode 210, King Dinosaur. So, our cold open is just Joel reading some supposedly beatnik-esque poetry to the bots, but am I missing something here? Like, it's just using beat poetry buzzwords, but not arranged in a way that's quite parody or anything. It honestly feels like a waste of our time, which I don't often say about this show. But speaking of time wasters, I've never been one for the invention exchange segments, and this is no exception. Dr. Forrester, thanks to Frank's usual incompetence, gets crushed going down a broken elevator, leading to a very odd-looking visual gag, and all Joel has is old socks. The only interesting thing about this invention exchange is the mention of the hat party with the grandest of all line. Last I heard, no one in the fandom knows what this line is a reference to, despite it being used consistently throughout the series.
Rave on, Joel Robinson.
Rave on, my holy fool.
All right, dig this. Once there were big billows of pure spirit. Weed, run through it like a sprinkler. No, I'm pretty sure you guys are what it's not supposed to rhyme. It doesn't have to.
Oh, kind of like a haiku.
Well, hello, Sir Goofus von Drakesnot. How's the poetry enclave going? Still trying to teach those little bots about emotions, huh? Well, you caught us at a bad time. I'm right in the middle of finishing the elevator, and Frank's getting ready for his hat party.
Mine's going to be the grandest of all. Dr. Forrester, you want to come over here a second and... what's this for?
Does this mean we get to do the invention exchange first?
No, you don't get to do the invention exchange first.
Would it help to say, I'm sorry?
Frank, look at me. Okay, I'm the invention exchange this week. Are you happy now? All right, everybody gather around and take a big, long gawk at the pocket scientist.
Oh, these, man. Oh, hey, nice improvisation on a standard theme.
When you've been marooned in space as long as I have, some of your personal effects can get to be a bit randy, so I came up with the incredibly stinky sweat socks. Works every time.
And as for you, you barnacle built for two, you're somehow responsible for my spine getting snapped. I'm all right, Frank. And so, you're going to have to pay in pain. All right, Frank. And your first film, rather fittingly, is a safety film. And then we're going to follow that up with another Lippert masterpiece.
Oh, we got movie sight!
We then get our trio in the theater for what I find to be an underappreciated short, X Marks the Spot. This short is all about car safety, and despite its bland opening of an old guy staring at us from a desk monologuing for a while, it actually becomes pretty compelling. At least for something featured on this show. We get taken into the story of Joe, a New Jersey native with quite the poor temper when it comes to the ways of the road. Think of the worst driver you know, whether they're bad with road rage or just don't look into oncoming traffic, and Joe is about 7 times worse than them. He literally can't get out of a parking space without hitting the people both in front of and behind him. And after too long, as you probably could have guessed, Joe ends up in an accident and croaks. Yup, Joe is dead. Thanks to some exposition from the crowd, we hear that he even had a wife and kids, and he's lost it all due to his short temper. Joe's spirit leaves his body, and he's met with his automobile guardian angel. Indeed, an angel in charge of Joe's driving specifically. His angel then takes him to the almighty judge of traffic accidents, and he gives a long list of Joe's traits as both a driver and a pedestrian.
And George Matthews as the Beaver.
Do that every movie.
Well, you know,
Yeah, it's neat.
it's in the contract.
That we open a second front.
God, I love you. I want to shout it from my oxygen tent.
But most of the drivers and pedestrians who were involved didn't break all the rules.
Just something.
Just once in a while, they were careless or inconsiderate.
Oh, they didn't want to live in New Jersey anymore.
It's about a car.
It's called Parallel Universe
The kind
Parking.
you need these days to get home. And then there's a driver.
Whoa.
A guy named Joe Doe.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Joe. See ya.
Yeah, he does look familiar.
Yep.
Sure, he lives on your street.
In fact, he's
Well,
under
it
your
seems
bed
that
right
one day-
now.
Joe used to say,
If you're going to bury a body in a shallow grave, make sure you use
"Well, that never
quicklime.
happened to the right people." Well, if you can get around him and beat that light at the next corner.
Hey, buddy, what are you doing?
And here's a
Hot
pedestrian
dog,
with
I
his
got
eye
a
on that
date
big
with
light.
death.
There goes the light.
Whoa!
You see how it is? As Joe often said, these
Oh, I've
pedestrians are
enjoyed
just
this
as bad as
good-natured
drivers.
ribbing.
Thank
enough.
you. Thank you very much. Thanks for almost killing me.
Now, there was a street intersection not far from where Joe lived.
Called Blood
He passed
Alley.
it every day. Here comes a car now from one direction, and
What?
uh-oh, here comes Joe from the other.
Let's
And
watch
unless
the
somebody
fun.
slows down,
We
it
think
ought to
the
happen
joke
right
will
here.
be on Joe.
I guess he can't be a witness.
Joe Doak's a neighbor of mine. He's got a lovely wife and two beautiful children.
Now I make my
Seemed
move.
like a swell guy, Joe did.
Except when he ate.
Show's over. Or maybe not.
Joe?
15 years, and I never...
Hey, is that
I
Patrick
never-
Swayze's father? Are you George Bailey? Oh, sorry, wrong
No
film.
use wasting time with... I know. You used to know him.
Yeah, they're your
Yeah,
pallbearers now.
Come on.
Excuse me.
Pardon your,
Mr. God?
sir.
Dear diary, it's hard being God. Huh? Oh, later.
Good morning, sir. There are no good mornings here.
I'll decide if it's a good morning or not.
What was your name? Your age? I'm going to be 36 on my next birthday.
Yeah.
Next
Right.
birthday?
I can't say that Joe was out looking for trouble, but...
But I
he
did
didn't
find him
seem to
down by the
carry
waterfront,
away.
dressed in a Spartan
just didn't
costume,
give
going,
up.
kitty, kitty.
Turns out Joe is the most thoughtless driver to be found in the entire state of Jersey, which has gotta be saying something. The only time he seems to learn a lesson is when he nearly kills a kid running off a school playground. And the only reason he learns the lesson isn't because he almost killed a kid in general, but that his own kids go to that school and it could have been one of them. What a great guy Joe is. The meeting is briefly interrupted when another car crash is heard off screen, and we see that the judge's clock on the wall counts down all the crashes, injuries, and fatalities in the entire state. The judge crosses his name out of his book, and Joe seems to fully comprehend what he's done. Also, the short has some actually great driving stunts for the time. I mean, some of these hits are extremely close. Then Joe himself states that the only rule he can think of that he didn't break is making a hit and run. If that's the only driving rule he hasn't broken, how the heck is this guy not in jail already? Turns out Joe even sucks at walking in the street, as he was in a previous accident walking against traffic and had to go to the hospital. And it's finally revealed that why Joe crashed today was because of a hangover. The judge admits that the angel has served well enough to finally get to heaven, I guess? It's not super clear. And Joe is forced to sit with the judge and stew in his guilt.
Speed limits, he might still be going too fast.
Oh,
You know, such as
Rockford
slowing down
turn,
speed
backward
intersections
Starsky.
or crosswalks.
Oh, that was great.
Momentum was just another name in the physics book as far as Joe was concerned.
Hey, that was a low blow.
Judge, if I weren't a ghost, there were times when I would have been scared to death. Joe's special. The little fella disappeared behind the hood of the car. Joe jammed on the brakes. Started to jump out of the car. Then the little boy ran out with the ball clutched in his
With
hand.
his skull clutched in
unaware
his
of a
hand.
Close call. Joe slumped back into the driver's seat.
he said a silent prayer to
Couldn't go on.
Bongo, the god of
After
gravity.
that, I never had any trouble with Joe around schools. He'd crawl by at a snail's pace.
Nursing homes, though. Whoa!
See,
Look
Your
out.
Honor, Joe had 2 kids of his own at that school.
And if his wife ever found out...
They're all that way when it...
Oh, hold it, you'll want to hear this. This is good.
And at the halftime, well, injuries are ahead of fatalities here in New Jersey.
I want the whole truth.
So help me.
Well, sir, Joe did.
Was there any traffic rule he didn't violate?
Oh, yes, sir. I never hit and run.
Oh, well that changes
And if
everything.
you had, you...
Why, here's proof that I got him to keep his car in good running condition. He can't blame his accident on his car.
We'll mark that Exhibit B.
And I'll slit my wrist
Where's
with it, because
Exhibit
I'm
A,
bored by this whole
Here's
thing.
Exhibit A.
Heaven help the driver who might come close enough to frighten Joe.
And bless the beasts and the
One day
children.
we were at a business. Instead of walking over to this corner and then over to this corner, Joe decides to take the shortcut. He had just about reached this point.
That's when he stepped into a wormhole and was transported to the 16th century.
Well, for the next few weeks, Joe was the perfect pedestrian and driver. Then one night he stayed up with a sick friend.
What's that?
Well,
Well, he got plowed,
he had
okay?
a cocktail or two. From sheer exhaustion, I closed my eyes for just a fraction of a second. I failed you, sir. I
Who's
let
on
you
trial
down,
here?
You have completely paid the penalty for your own carelessness in traffic. You are now a free ghost.
See the clerk and
Free
leave
ghost.
the gown.
Go? I
Free
can go?
ghost!
Oh, thank you, sir.
Stairway to heaven!
What a relief. What a relief.
The hell with Joe, I'm out of here. Can I watch some TV now, Grandpa?
Stop it. Stop it.
What? What am I doing? What? What?
He was kind and considerate to everyone.
Except his grandmother
Except
and the kitty.
traffic.
Come on, let's
all
get out
right.
of here. Come on.
We're blowing out of here.
You're gonna hang around.
You can stay, Crow.
I gotta
He
see.
was inconsiderate. Consider carefully your own qualifications as a driver and a pedestrian.
My qualifications?
Are you qualified?
Am I qualified?
To pass judgment
Oh,
on Joe.
yeah, I don't know. Am I qualified?
And with that, we get to one of my very favorite host segments, especially for the Joel era. Crow has been deeply affected by this short and its question, are we qualified to pass judgment on Joe? This throws Crow into a bit of an existential crisis, and it's a tour de force by Trace as Crow carries this entire segment on his own.
Qualified. Wow, what a question. Me, Crow T Robot, what do I think? Am I qualified? Wow, that's a heavy burden. How can I make a difference? Can I make a difference? Well, what would Joel do in a situation like this? No. I've got to learn to think for myself. We could all help. Come on, friends, run to your window and shout, I'm really cheesed and I'm not going to hang around till this thing gets better. Organize a improv group and do guerrilla theater at the food court at your mall. Put on a one-man show and talk about your true inner feelings in an emotionally charged, gut-wrenching autobiographical account of your warped adolescence, and then watch the grant money come in. Woo! But don't snap judge me. And then watch that, put a drop of vanilla behind each ear and you'll smell like a cookie all day. Police the lives of those around you. And get your sensibilities way the heck out of whack. Parade up and down the street in your underwear. Impose your ideals on others. It's easy. Crush someone with an emotional word or an enigmatic look. You decide. You do it. I'm sick of this. I can't make a decision. I'm no good at this sort of thing. It's up to you. I'm passing the buck. To you.
And back into the theater we go for King Dinosaur. Now this movie's an interesting one for the crew to tackle for two reasons. The first being, this is the first film Mystery Science feature to involve the one and only Bird-Eye Gordon, who would go on to produce and direct some of the best movies covered by both this series and Riff Tracks, like Tormented and Attack of the Puppet People. He, along with Al Zimbalist, wrote the story this film is based on, and they both went on to produce the movie itself, with Burt directing as well. Secondly, it's the fourth and last episode of this second season to be presented by Robert Lippert and his production company, Lippert Pictures. The previous three films were Rocket Ship XM, Jungle Goddess, and Lost Continent. And this one is sci-fi schlock at its finest. Well, maybe not finest, but it's here. A new planet called Nova has been discovered, and a new rocket is being designed and tested to go explore it. The narrator tells us that atomic power is being used, and it's either going to be really helpful or really destructive. I guess we'll have to wait and see which it turns out to be. And we briefly meet our cast. In fact, the only four not stock footage people we see in the entire film. A zoologist named Dick, geologist Nora, medical specialist Ralph, and chemist Pat. And this ragtag crew is about to shove off.
And,
Oh no, Robert Lippert! Oh, yikes.
Mom's extending us a welcome.
French fried potatoes.
Test upon test must be made to develop, improve, create,
The
invent.
Ultimate Morning Zoo radio show.
Professor Albert Garnett is able with the world's largest telescope to photograph an extremely clear view of the new planet.
But he had his thumb
It
over
is
the
now
lens.
certain that plant life. New metals must be developed with tensile strength
I should
capable
have
of
some
withstanding
numbers on
great
that.
atmospheric pressures.
Oops.
Switch on for jet engine test number 87.
So the announcer is calling the shots now?
Every conceivable test for man and machine alike is run the gauntlet. There is no margin for error.
There is a margin for shame, however.
Special equipment is developed.
Then
This
discard it.
nuclear power plant will serve as an auxiliary source of electricity while our people are on the planet. Actually, because it is activated by atomic power,
he
it
was
could
just
supply
kidding
their
earlier.
needs for many years if something were to go wrong and their return
looks like
to
a
Earth were
dashboard.
delayed. Pressure vaults are constructed to simulate the pressures found in space.
And the pressures of my desolate, lonely life, sitting for hours alone in a sound booth.
Her doctorate in mineralogy was awarded for her mineralogical research in the Himalayan mountains.
And she's cute, too.
That same day, the giant spaceship was being wheeled into
Fire.
position for its space flight. War Service fortified him with the experience of treating most diseases and fatalities that overtake men.
Hey, he's
That
cute
is,
too,
on
isn't
our
he?
Earth.
Real cute.
Attention!
It's me, the announcer. This time I'm coming from a different speaker.
Will please...
A new pope is selected. It's kooky.
Neat.
5, 4,
Oh,
3,
oh, whoa,
2,
whoa,
1.
hey, what? That's a fast count. Huh, well, maybe you should take your foot off the clutch. There you go.
Our 4 doctors land on the planet with no issues whatsoever, because who needs any sort of interest in the first act of your movie? It seems that they've just landed in some field in the Midwest, but they're ecstatic about it. A few quick tests are performed by Pat and Ralph to be sure it's safe for the others. But what were they planning to do if it wasn't safe? Just leave these 2 on an alien planet, turn around and go home? But conveniently, wouldn't you know it, not only is it safe in general, the atmosphere and germs are just like back home, meaning any Earthling can survive on Nova, no spacesuit required. And of course, even the Nova animals are the same as the earthly ones. Bears, deer, and everything else common to Middle America wilderness. After not so subtly foreshadowing a strange volcanic island in the middle of a nearby lake, the 4 pack up some supplies and start a romp through the forests of this strange and unfamiliar land. And much like our last film review, Planet of Dinosaurs, the crew makes some wild assumptions about this world being exactly like Earth, down to the time of day and how that affects sunsets. Because what could possibly go wrong, assuming how long you have before dark on a newly discovered planet you only sent 4 people to explore?
I believe by the end of this decade we will land a piece of stock footage on another planet. Ask not what a process shot can do for you.
Uh-huh. Guys, I think they landed in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We're first.
And foremost.
Thank God we made it. Is it as lovely as it seems?
Yes,
No.
it's habitable.
Yeah.
No.
An active volcano. This planet is quite young, Pat.
I mean, Dr. Pat.
They're getting kind of informal.
Tests for radiation gave a reading of approximately 10% above normal background count.
Joel, I'm tripping.
No, it's just a photo
Contents
process.
indicated less than a tolerable percentage.
The air is a bit rich in oxygen, notice?
Yep, I'm high as a kite.
This is just great. There's animal life here.
Yeah, white caribou.
There must be plenty of water there.
Cute.
Well, there it is, just like I saw on the scope. As pretty a lake as anyone would want, and it's all private.
But
Restricted.
what about that island?
Ooh.
This strange-looking place.
Wow, it
Looks like
must
it's covered
be
with heavy jungle growth.
scary.
Well, 15-minute break, everybody. Lippard rules apply here.
What time would you say it is?
It's time to kill something.
It's about 3 o'clock Earth time here.
Judging by those
We
birds.
don't know how many hours there are on the daily cycle here. You know, this place could move around faster than our Earth.
Well, let's figure for 3 o'clock anyway. That gives us 3 or 4 hours before dark.
Besides, I decided I'm the new god of this planet.
That island.
I hate it. It's taunting me.
Vegetation certainly looks different from that around here.
Maybe we can pay it a quick visit before we leave.
It'd be
Let the
fun.
next people pay it a visit. Let's get back to the ship, get out of here before something awful
Let's all get
happens
out of
to
here.
all of us.
Yeah, wouldn't want them to find an important scientific
way?
discovery.
And here we have what might be one of my most controversial takes ever on this channel. Back on deck, Joel starts a bit with an ugly stuffed lemur calling it Joey. This refers to a bit in the movie that hasn't even happened yet, where our intrepid crew meets a kinkajou, which they mistakenly call a lemur, to be their animal sidekick. This means the MST crew accidentally put this host segment in the wrong spot, and should have included it as the third mid-movie moment and not second. Anyway, Joel flails around with this puppet for a few minutes, much to the bot's dismay, but many viewers' delight. Most people seem to really like this segment, but I've never been one of them. I've always found it kind of grating and boring and never understood what everyone else, including my own parents, thought was so funny about it. It kind of comes off as Joel just weakly ad-libbing, and it never works for me.
It's Joey the lemur, the friend to mankind. Our furry sort of monkey friend, he really does shine. Hey.
Joey the lemur, he's really fun to have around. Huggle and dart you, fun. He is a clean, gregarious, and good pet.
You said it, pal. Oh boy, pal of mine, you're the one for me.
L is for lemur.
L is for lemur. Enough said.
R is for radical.
And rambunctious.
Randy is a jackrabbit. That's me, all right. Woo!
I guess it's the splendiferous lemur.
Friend to all mankind.
It's the magnificent
magnificent
lemur.
I, the lemur, beg you to consider me. I am willing to travel and would make an excellent companion to any elderly or elderly person. Gentlemen, please consider me. Thank you, won't you? Thank you. Movie star!
Fascinatingly, to make up for the mistake of having the lemur segment shot early, I guess, Joel comes in with a puppet, the bots ask why, and Joel confirms that the film guide says he'll be in the movie later on. Meaning, oh crap, between segment shooting day and riff shooting day, we realized our mistake and we can't fix it now, which is pretty funny all on its own. The scientists didn't take a tent on their adventure, so they build a lean-to as night falls, and the men agree to split the watch. While the women insist they can take a watch too, sexism or not, I'm taking that extra sleep, man. We're on a possibly hostile alien planet. I'm catching Z's where I can. Pat and Ralph have clearly had a thing for each other the whole time, and when it's Ralph's watch, Pat wakes up and they start making out. Turns out they're actually engaged, which means only good things from this point could happen for them, I'm sure of it. And Ralph immediately falls down a hill and gets attacked by an alligator. And though he's able to stop it with a knife, it's not until after he's been brutally mauled. Thankfully, the others hear Pat's screams and come to help them back to the camp to tend to his wounds.
Get him off of me, Joel.
Hey,
it's all over
Servo,
me.
Fight back.
Oh, I can't get that little thing.
Hey, get that monkey away from me.
It's a lemur. They said in the film guide that he's going to be in. We're going to meet him later in the film.
Get rid of him. Thank you.
Oh, I'm dead.
Hold that thought.
Hey, how about that? Home sweet home.
What a sweet
Step up to the
job.
front desk and register. Now, Ralph and I are going to split the watches, 3 hours apiece. That should take us up until daylight. You girls get some sleep.
No reason why we can't take a watch, too.
Yes, there is.
Oh, dang.
No arguments.
You're girls.
Now get some sleep.
Boy, you burn a human body. There's not much left of them.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just that...
I don't know.
That I feel so much...
Doctor, do you still want to marry me?
I would marry you if you were one of 3 people on this planet.
I gotcha.
Hurts, don't it? Ah,
Good scream.
Sounds like an alligator mowing Bob.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, it looks like Dr. Moto's got a stranglehold on him.
Oh. That's not fair.
Oh, he used a foreign object, all right.
I was wondering if we could finish our walk later.
He's down.
Oh.
Here, just set him here on this body
I
bag.
can't find it.
Looks like he lost the pie contest.
Oh, it's all my fault.
Bingo.
A day and a half later, Ralph wakes up to a giant bee attacking the camp. Despite the fact that she was supposed to be looking after him, Pat can only scream in terror as Ralph takes out the bee himself with a couple of guns. Pat then expositions that Dick and Nora went back to the ship for supplies. At this point, with a teammate in critical condition, wouldn't you be heading for home? They even said the people on Earth just wanted a few initial readings and samples. Somewhere in their off-screen trek, Dick and Nora picked up Joe the Kinkajou that they call a lemur for the rest of the film. Because what serious adult sci-fi romance drama doesn't need a wacky animal sidekick? Nora insists on investigating the previously established volcanic island, with only Dick by her side, and Ralph questions this. And rightfully so, shouldn't they all stay together? No! The others say he's just a worrywart, despite the fact that he was nearly mauled to death by an alligator and just shot a 10-foot wasp in the face. Ralph says if she insists on going, they've got to stick together, but they just say he's too injured to go, so in pairs of 2 they'll stay, with Nora getting to visit her precious island in the morning.
Oh, Boy, I feel like I wrestled an alligator last night. Oh, breakfast time. Honey Nut Cheerios, guys.
Heaping bowl. I'm gonna need a bigger shoe. We're gonna get a bigger shoe, right?
Yeah. I'm dealing with it. I got it. I got it, honey.
Where is everybody?
Oh, they've gone. They've gone back to the ship for supplies and equipment. You've been unconscious for a day and a half.
Well, I'm all right now.
You okay? Nah.
I've got a headache this big, and it's got stock footage written all over it.
You've got to relax and rest.
Relax. There's a bee the size of a moose over there, and you want him to relax?
Let's carry all this crap around.
Kill it! Kill it!
Was that your little friend, Joel?
Yeah. I guess that's the lemur, yeah.
Hey, who's the cook in the outfit tonight? I'll do it.
Yeah, how do you like your lemur?
Hey, what are the plans for tomorrow?
Oh, I thought I'd go to the
I thought
mall.
Nora and I'd finish our tests and samplings, and then I thought
And then I want to take a look at that island.
All right. We'll go to your damn dirty
remember
island.
some instructions about not separating. We haven't run into anything we can't handle, Ralph.
You know, I think they all read too much science fiction. You know, they probably thought we'd meet some kind of super race up here or something.
And all we've met are large mutated animals.
Why don't we all go together?
Oh.
I may be a little weak, but I can still handle a gun.
Oh, don't be silly, Ralph. You need to rest. Look, maybe we don't need a watch. Joe seems to be pretty good at shouting alarms.
Let's count on Joe for extras.
Oh, we can't afford extras in this film.
The next morning, we get to watch Nora and Dick get a bunch more supplies and a rubber raft to take to the island. They also take Joe for some reason. Wouldn't any innocent animal just be a liability? Isn't that kind of like taking a toddler with you? They reach the other side of the lake with no issues, meaning anything of interest has got to be happening soon, right? Right? We cut to Pat studying bacteria for a second, and she tells Ralph that they better stay healthy since there actually are bacteria different from Earth, and we'd have no cure! So why aren't you in space suits? Meanwhile, even though the island is desolate with seemingly nothing to offer, the duo, and Kinkajou in tow, soldier on through it. And what do they find? A giant, raging, terrifying iguana. Yup, the titular King Dinosaur is a superimposed iguana. Talk about a letdown. Like, Planet of Dinosaurs is ridiculous. It's a bad movie. But even if they're made out of clay, they at least had the promised dinosaurs in it. Dick just starts shooting at the thing, even though based on our perspective, it doesn't even look like it could see them. The dino then chases them to a cave he can't quite fit into. All this could have been avoided if Dick hadn't been, well, a dick, shooting first and asking questions later. Joe gets caught outside the cave, and when Dick goes to save him, a terrible edit occurs in which the terrible lizard scratched Dick's arm.
Cut.
I've gone blind.
Oh. Joe, come on.
Hey, shut up. I'm eating over
Come
here.
on.
Joe!
Hey, they're almost there. It's a short trip.
It looks pretty barren.
This was your idea.
What are they?
Look at the flock of birds.
Where?
So
Where?
that's where those
Birds?
vultures
Where?
have been coming from.
Listen.
Just thunder.
Oh, actually, that's jet noise. Oh, they'll fix it in post.
I'll put the raft over there.
On that sharp rock.
Oh, Viewmaster.
Dick, there's a pair of those birds.
Oh, two seagulls, Gertrude and Heathcliff.
Are those normal size or real size? They don't tell us that.
Nope.
I can see them walking, and they saw two vultures. This is great.
There's lots of bacteria that exist here that don't on Earth.
And it's all attracted to you.
Stay healthy because there might not be a cure for them, right?
Right.
And then?
Oh, a trombone. Must be 76 of them. I think there's 110 cornets right behind. Whoa! Look at that guy. He's beautiful. Here, boy. Come here. Come on. Isn't he cute? Come on over here. You want to meet Joey?
No, I told you this would happen. Please, I'm a horny. Get out of here.
Oh, that's it. Take it out on the woman again.
That's my rec room. Excuse the mess, just throw that skin anywhere. And before you take me into your hut, I should mention I eat my young. Did I say that before?
Where's Joe?
Hey, Joe.
Oh, just minding my own business. I don't aware of the events that are about to happen to me.
I'll get him.
Dick, don't go!
Yeah, go back for the lemur. Damn lemur did this to me.
How about a little fire, Scarecrow?
For our final host segment mid-film, we get Joel and the Bots trying to put on a show about Einstein when Joel breaks character saying he can't get it to work. Really, Joel? You can play that stupid lemur puppet, but this is a bridge too far? Okay. Anyway, the Bots try to go on it alone, but only end up failing and spiraling a bit before Joel decides to give into the madness and rejoins them himself.
And now it's time for another exciting episode of Emotional Scientist, starring Joel Robinson as Albert Einstein.
Oh, let's see here. I've almost got the theory of relativity. Oh, that just makes me so sad when
I can't do this, you guys. I don't see why I always have to be the one dressing up in the dumb costumes. I don't get it.
What's the matter with you? Don't you know what it is to put on that grease paint, don that theatrical mask, get up on that stage and sing and dance your dear little heart out?
Now it's time for another exciting episode of Emotional Scientist, starring Crow as Madame Curie.
Oh, what's the use? I'm having a bad day. Nobody understands my needs. It's that time of... Oh, jeez. You know, Joel's right. I can't even do a good accent on this thing either. Get this thing off of me. I quit.
He's right. You're right. We've been fools to think that robots can be actors.
I can't stand to see you so upset like this. I'm sorry. I know. I realize that these sketches are important to you. I'm sorry, okay? I know 2 robots and a human that have a sketch to do.
Oh boy. And now it's time for another exciting episode of Emotional Scientist, starring Joel Robinson as Jerry Lewis, Crow as Dean Martin, and Tom Serval as Enrico Fermi.
Whoa!
And now for this film's exhilarating climax. Or at least as exhilarating a climax as a film as dry as unbuttered wheat toast can possibly have. While the iguana's waiting out our heroes, we see a giant crocodile come up to battle for no other reason than to be a jerk. And remember, we're supposed to believe both of these everyday earthly animals are actually prehistoric monsters on a foreign planet. And we get to see some good old-fashioned dated animal violence, because who doesn't want to see that in their sci-fi flicks? As the animals keep destroying each other, Dick tries to send out a flare to Ralph and Pat so they can save them from their own rock-solid stupidity. The iguana somehow comes out on top in the battle, slaying its antagonist. And yup, this entire time Dick and Nora stayed in the cave instead of trying to actually escape to the raft. And if that wasn't insulting your audience's intelligence enough, Dick declares that the iguana is actually a T-Rex, just like the ones from Earth's olden days. What kind of maroons does this film take us for? But thankfully for these 2 idiots, their friends find them pretty quickly, all things considered.
Nobody's gonna believe this.
You mean this movie?
Oh, leaping lizards.
Hey, thanks for the jump cut.
It's Saturday night at ringside, ladies and gentlemen, featuring Gecko Roman Wrestling.
I'm gonna make a handbag out of you, Gator. Hey, Mr. Lippert, I'm appalled. I feel sick.
Hand me that berry pistol.
What good'll that
Are you
do?
thinking of Ralph and Pat?
I hate to bring them into this.
Better them than us.
It's the only way out of here.
You must get to the top. He insisted on doing their own stunts here.
Yeah, it's painful.
The hill and fire my little magic gun. Ooh. Oh. Beautiful.
A red flare, Pat.
That means
They're in trouble.
lizard wrestling. Red flare at night, lizards fight. Red flare in the morning, lizards take warning.
You know, have you guys considered counseling?
This is what happens to your luggage at the airport.
Got a little,
Hershey syrup.
I don't think I forgot about you. I give you half an hour to escape, and what do? You stay here. You're mine.
It resembles the Tyrannosaurus rex of Earth's prehistoric age.
Sorry, no way.
Tyrannosaurus rex. King Dinosaur. It's like living in the past.
It's an iguana.
Come on.
Good likeness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, who cares? No one's ever gonna believe us anyway, if we are out there.
Huh? What's going on?
Oh, what is it?
It's an iguana, now shut up!
In our dumb protagonist's best interests, a new random lizard decides to fight the iguana, and they start falling down the cliffside. A perfect deus ex machina for their escape. And more animal cruelty, because one violent scene of reptiles making each other bleed wasn't enough. And again, iguana, T-Rex, reigns victorious. And finally, the terribly foreshadowed atomic power the narrator warned us of an hour ago comes to pay off. The reunited quartet decides that to just leave the planet and go back home isn't enough. They must use the atom bomb to completely destroy the island with dinosaurs on it. Who cares if they're critical to this planet's fragile ecosystem, and who knows what kind of fallout the bomb will cause for all the other animals? It's not Earth, so who gives a crap? As the four friends flee the island, they come across many other giant, I assume we're supposed to find prehistoric beasts. The four paddle for their lives and barely make it to the other side of the lake before the blast. And then there's a half-hearted line that kind of implies they feel bad about doing this horrific thing they didn't have to do. Like, if they had only had the atomic power and no other way out to save themselves, I guess that's fine. But they're literally miles away from the iguana and any danger when the blast hits, so what was the point? Just to make themselves feel better by causing more animal violence? Oh well, at least this group of monsters are headed home.
Oh, I'm hooked in your braces! Oh, I'm hooked! Whoa, that'll be a lot more fun on a toboggan.
Giant mutated lizards. Wish we had some pictures of it.
I don't care if you are a lizard, that has to hurt.
Alright, now that that's done, where's Lippert? I'm coming for you. Payback time.
I brought the atom bomb. I think it's a good time to use it.
Oh, that's your answer to everything. Just use the atom bomb.
Hey, what's going on, peace friends?
All right, set for 8 o'clock.
And right now it's 30 seconds to 8. Oh, it's a joke. Everybody panic! When in danger or in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout. Help me! Hey, anybody have the time? It's a little matter of an atomic bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Your careers are finally almost over. You'll never be in another film. You may end up in the psychotronic film guide.
Oh, they tripped over a burial mound. How fitting.
Why don't you just pull her by her hair?
Oops. Damn.
Ah. That's the biggest firework of all.
Looks like the beginning of Petticoat Junction. Petticoat Armageddon.
Yeah.
We did the right thing, didn't we? They'd never surrender. It was right for us to blow them up. Thanks for annihilating everything I know. There's like
Well, you know, they're only 2 miles from the blast. Aren't they going to get vaporized?
Hope so. Well, it's an atom bomb light, actually. 1/3 as destructive as our other bomb.
Oh.
We sure have done it. Brought civilization to Planet Nova.
Was that irony?
Come on.
This late in the film.
Let's go home.
Yeah, let's go home and grow some three-headed kids.
And so, with peace in their hearts and fiery death in the sky, they went home.
Crow laments the fact that he's more versed in Lippert's films than many other more prolific filmmakers, and Joel wants to cheer him up with a presentation. But both bots tell him Lippert is not worthy of one of Joel's presentations. So Joel settles for telling them that Lippert was the first to use a theremin in a movie, but that isn't even true! He may have been the first to use it in a sci-fi film with Rocket Ship XM in 1951, and inspire many future space films to do the same. But a Soviet movie called Adna from 1931 was the actual first to use the instrument, and even Hitchcock used it before Lippert in 1945 with his movie Spellbound. So Joel clearly didn't do as much research as he wanted Tom and Crow to believe.
Jeez, you guys, that's the 4th Robert Lippert film we've seen in as many months. I've never even seen a Kurosawa film. Works of Francois Truffaut? Not familiar with them, sorry. Odessa Step Sequence? I don't think I know that one, no. And yet I'm intimately familiar with a frame-by-frame basis with a major part of one Robert L. Lipper's output. Why? I don't understand it, I just...
Fortunately, Cambot and I have worked up a little sound and light show. Cambot, cue that up.
No, that's Stop the music, kill that like Kanban, or I'll kill you.
Those artist renderings, musical tributes? I don't think so, Joel. Come on.
I'm just trying to show you about...
Joel, Lippert is not worth it. Show us your little
Robert
toy.
Lippert was the first filmmaker to ever use a thing called a theremin, and the theremin creates a body of particles, and when you interrupt the particles, it changes the sound. You may have heard it in other space movies before. Here, let's turn it on here. Let's try it. See?
Oh, that's rather pleasing, isn't it?
Pretty neat.
Whoa, yeah. Thanks a lot. Okay, so why don't you take that down to your cabin there, Joel?
Honestly, I hadn't seen this episode in years, and I remembered it as being way better. There's some strong jokes here and there, but a lot of scenes kind of plod along and the riffs with them. Many of the riffs seem more like simple observations about the film, which can definitely work, but there seem to be a lot of them. Some of the best riffs come in the last film segment where the trio argue a bit over callbacks getting meta with each other, and that's pretty fun. And this also goes for the segments, though. I've said my piece about Joey the Lemur and the invention exchanges, but while the majority of the host segments in this episode don't thrill me, it definitely gets bonus points for the incredible Am I Qualified segment from Crow. That's the moment that made me absolutely start adoring his character when I first got into the show. And the short is great. Not only is it actually pretty well produced for being about New Jersey car safety, the riffs are awesome too, and it really feels like the guys are watching it for the first time with their reactions. So while I do encourage everyone to watch every episode for itself, especially when, like this one, it's available for free on YouTube, the first 30 minutes are definitely the best and most worth watching. As always, thank y'all so much for watching, and special thanks to all my Patreon supporters, including Jackie Ball, Kevin Nata, and Isabella Summit. And of course, an enormous thanks to all of the incredible St. Jude supporters. This includes Nightwing, Technodan, Frank, Rogue2, Rich, Tommy Gun Servo, Curator of Entropy, Mist Explorer, Adam, Guido, Bleach Black Cat, Roy, Jackie, Donna, C Forever, Stuffy Wuff, Kevin, Servo1991, Angry American, Roland, The It and Fit, and last but certainly not least, Ryan, who asked for this review. It was fun to dive back into an older episode of the show, and I've got lots more reviews coming, and more Riff Trek Shorts reviews as well. So if you like this, please be sure to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And remember that I have a Twitch channel, and a gaming channel, and a Discord, all linked below. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
You know, sometimes my own species makes me feel ashamed what they're doing to these dinosaurs.
Let's go.